Welcome. This is the Men Church Stuff Podcast. This is the show where brothers-in-law DJ Culp and Brad Coleman talk about stuff from our perspective as men. It's a show for anyone who wants to hear how Christians interact with the world. And don't worry, we're real. We've grown up in church, and we want to share our experiences with you. We'll talk life stuff, church stuff, man stuff, and stuff. Here we go. Greetings, listeners here and there and everywhere, all across the land. This is the Men Church Stuff Podcast. I almost forgot what I was going to say.
Podcast.
This is a podcast. What are we doing right now?
This is a podcast about something.
About something. I'm looking at Brad. Why am I here? I'm one of your hosts, DJ Culp. As always, with my beloved brother-in-law, Brad Coleman. What's up, Brad?
You know, I do that same thing. Like in the morning, I look in the mirror and I look at Brad and I go, "Why am I here?
Why am I here?" Yeah. I wasn't confused as to why I was like what I was doing. I was looking at you thinking, "Why am I here?" I could be doing so many other things, but I'm here talking with you.
Yeah. See, now I just look in the mirror and I go, I'm stuck with you.
Yeah, right.
Like you, DJ, have a choice. You showed up to the Zoom meeting.
I do. Yeah. So we have been, Brad, we've been getting, we've been getting good feedback from Green Frog.
Oh, good.
Yeah, words are hard today. Yeah, so I'm not necessarily sure, like, how much their, the business has peaked, but, listeners, if you're in the Jackson, Tennessee area, every Monday at Green Frog Coffee on the north side of Jackson, we've got a coupon code that's part of our show that'll get you $2 off. We're trying to get them some more business, trying to grow our listenership with the show. And so they've been really good to come alongside us and help out. So, Brad, since we're talking about coffee, let's just go ahead and do some coffee time. Coffee time. I'll cue the music. So, as I had just mentioned, we are in collaboration with Green Frog Coffee Company here local to Jackson, Tennessee. This is for Monday, December 9. And so if you're in the Jackson, Tennessee area, or if you know anybody that's in the Jackson, Tennessee area, call them up. Or if it's you don't have to call yourself, clearly, and head up to, you can, that's right. It'll go straight to voicemail, but head up to the North Green Frog Coffee Company, and whatever you order, anything, if it's an online order, if it's an in-store, give them the coupon code ORDINARY, and you'll get $2 off of your order all day long, which means that you can be a repeat customer. You can go back multiple times during the day and using the coupon code ORDINARY, and you'll get $2 off your order. So, head up to Green Frog. It's a great coffee company. Their owner is a professing Christian. They are built on Christian values. And Brad, as normal, they have coffee that's so good, even a snowman would drink it. So now that we got that out of the way, ORDINARY is our coupon code. Why don't we dive into the show? All right, Brad.
Two ordinary guys.
Just two ordinary guys. That's exactly
talking about some ordinary stuff.
All right. We're going to start out today with another set of Mad Libs. Brad, I need a noun.
DJ's working on my grammar skills.
Yes, I am.
Last time he asked for a noun, I gave him a verb.
You gave me a verb. That's exactly right. So we're looking for a noun, Brad, which
maple
is a person.
Syrup.
Maple syrup. All right. Plural noun. How about bicycles? Brad, I need a number.
62.
62. I need another plural noun. Umbrellas. There we go. Brad, I need a past tense verb.
See, look at all this. It's
Well,
like make my
think about
brain
this.
think.
Yeah, like a verb is something that you're going to do, and then
Yeah.
frame it as if you did it.
Ran.
Ran. All right, I need a
Well, we
noun.
know that's a lie because I didn't do that.
Yeah, that's right. I need a noun. How about gym? Plural occupation, Brad.
Like two jobs.
That's right. Bivocational.
Teachers.
Teachers. Another plural occupation. How about trash collectors? Brad, I need a verb. You're good at these.
Yeah. I can verb all day long.
Unknowingly you're
Verb,
good at them,
verb,
but you're good
verb,
at them.
verb, verb. Drove.
Dri
Drives.
dri
Driven.
how about drive, Brad? How about just
Which tense of it do you want?
that's right. I can give you all of the tenses. That's what I was going for.
Wasn't going to show off or anything.
That's right. I need a noun. How about a pine tree? I need another noun, Brad.
Turtle.
Turtle.
Dove. Turtle dove.
Turtle dove. It is Christmas time. Body part. Hair follicle. I need another body part, Brad.
Pupil.
Pupil. Another body part. How about patella? Brad, I need a noun.
What was it? Rock.
Rock. I need another noun. Pencil. I need another noun.
Allergy medication.
I love it. That's a good one. Allergy medication. Verb that ends in ing. How about charging? Another verb that ends in ing, Brad.
Frolicking.
Frolic. Oh, that's a good one, dude.
I know.
Yeah,
See, I got the verbs down.
you do. Yeah. Another verb that ends in ing. How about flowering? Brad, I need a plural noun.
Plural noun. Let's see. Spaceships.
Spaceships. I need a number. How about 4,800,002? All right, Brad. I need another noun.
Another noun. Bell.
Bell. And a last noun. How about pneumonia?
This ought to be good. I don't even know
Yeah,
what the context is.
right. All right. So, listeners, our show comes out of First Corinthians chapter 12, where Paul discusses how the church is like the body parts, unity and diversity in one body. So here we go, Brad, starting with verse 12. For as the maple syrup is one and has many bicycles, but all the members of that 62 umbrellas, being many, are one body, so also is Christ. For by one Spirit we were all ran into one gym, whether Jews or Greeks, whether teachers or trash collectors, and have all been made to drive into one Spirit. For in fact, the pine tree is not one turtle dove, but many. If the hair follicle should say, because I am not a pupil, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? And if the patella should say, I am not a rock, I am not of the pencil, is it therefore not of the body? If the whole body, if the whole body were an allergy medication, where would be the charging? If the whole body were frolicking, where would be the flowering? But now God has set the 4,800,002 each each of them in the bell just as he pleased. And if they were all one member, where would the pneumonia be?
This is people didn't know this is the first draft that Paul
This,
wrote. He was having a
yeah,
fever
right.
dream, and when he reread it before he sent it to the church, he was like, "Oh, I think I missed some of that from the Spirit." I think it was. Um, God, let me clarify what you were saying again.
Oh gosh, yeah,
I wasn't
right.
feeling so good on
Yeah,
that first draft.
it's a good thing that Paul had a proofreader. Oh, and dude, I'm sorry. I skipped over one. This is back at verse 18. But now God has set the spaceships, each 4,800,002 of them, in the bell just as he pleased. And if they were all one member, where would the pneumonia be? That was a good one, man.
Yeah, we're glad that they got that Timothy got him straightened out
That's
before.
right. Yeah. Timothy's
It's
probably Timothy's first question was,
like,
I don't know what a spaceship is.
yeah, dear
Like,
my
what is
father in the faith. I think maybe you should reframe this a little bit so people can understand.
dude, my absolute favorite um editing quote that was ever passed down to me was simply, huh? So like I would hope that Timothy would say that. My dear father in the faith. Huh? What am I supposed to do with this?
Well, Peter does say that sometimes Paul is difficult to understand.
That's right. Yeah. Oh goodness. All right. So let's let's see. That is through verse 19. Here we go. The actual First Corinthians 2:12 verses 12 through 19 says this. For as the body is one and has many members, but all the members of that one body being many are one body, so also is Christ. That makes a little bit more sense.
Yep.
For by one Spirit we were all baptized into one body, whether Jews or Greeks, whether slaves or free, and have all been made to drink into one Spirit. For in fact, the body is not one member, but many. If the foot should say, because I am not a hand, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? And if the ear should say, because I'm not an eye, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? If the whole body were an eye, where would be the hearing? If the whole body were hearing, where would be the smelling? But now God has set the members, each one of them, in the body just as he pleased. And if they were all one member, where would the body be? That reads much different than where would the pneumonia be?
It was a lot clearer,
It's a lot clearer. Um, so the topic of today's show is just ordinary, right? Just being ordinary.
Yeah.
And this was a kind of a quote from our pastor not too long ago, who said something that I really enjoyed. Uh, and I put that up, so I'm just gonna have to try to remember what it says. But
Right.
it says, "Don't
Was it about
despise
pneumonia?
the." Yeah, yeah. It had nothing to do with pneumonia, no. But I did take my allergy medication last night. But no, he said that we don't need to despise the ordinary, but that the world is always looking for the extraordinary.
Hmm.
Um, and just to kind of kick off the topic here, Brad. Um, what about our culture and your experience? What about our culture um, doesn't praise the ordinary? Like, why doesn't our culture praise the ordinary?
Well, those are two different questions. What about it or why?
Let's let's do why.
I think somewhere in our psyche as humans,
Mhm.
man, there's a lot to unpack there. I would say somewhere in our psyche as humans, we want to be valuable and important.
Hmm.
So the gospel tells us that God made us in his image, right? That the Bible tells us God made us in his image. That and the gospel tells us that even though we were sinners, Christ died for us, that he loved us. So God values us.
Yeah.
God values all life. Um, and he's very like it's a big deal taking life, and so we have that intrinsic value. But I think we because if we don't own that, if we don't own that God has made us valuable, so we're valuable because of the master who made us, whether or not everybody else thinks so or not. But if we don't own that, then I think we try to find that value elsewhere.
Hmm.
And so when we look, we're looking for, I think a lot of times that in popularity and status and wealth. I think that's why so many kids want to be YouTubers,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
and if I can be a YouTuber, I can do all this stuff. I can make, a gazillion dollars. I can never have to actually work, and everybody will think I'm cool,
Yeah.
and it will be great. Um, I think, you have Solomon who had all of that stuff, who writes Ecclesiastes and goes, it's all vanity,
It's all vanity.
you know.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of who it was. I think it was Mr. Ace Ventura.
I can't wait for the
No, no, I
deep
mean,
philosophical point that
actually, he
Jim
didn't say
Carrey
it. Jim Carrey, well, so Jim Carrey,
he,
I believe it was Jim Carrey who said, I think that everybody should get to be rich and famous so they can find out that being rich and famous isn't what it's all about.
yeah.
So yeah, so no, actually pretty deep, well thought out. Um, I think there's a lot of people that were seeking those things. And I think on some level we all are seeking that glory. And because we want to be valued, we want to be loved. And the interesting thing is, and I think it's part of, again, the flesh versus the spirit,
Yeah.
that because as believers, we're saying, and their spirit is in agreement that God has that, like, we're valuable because God has made us in his image. So we're made in the image of God. We're valuable because we belong to Christ. Like he has redeemed us as believers. We are joint heirs in the kingdom. So you
Yeah.
can't get more popular. You can't get more wealth.
Right.
I mean, we're joint heirs in God's kingdom. That means it belongs to us,
Yeah.
right? Together,
Right.
because he's allowed us to be that. And that's so, I mean, there's the earth itself doesn't even have a minute part of that. If you own the whole galaxy and I am a joint heir in God's kingdom, you got less than me
Hmm. Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you're
That's
not a
actually, yeah,
joint
it's
heir.
true. That's right. Yeah.
So I think that's the big thing is we're trying to be those things. I think oftentimes like and that grandiose
Yeah.
and glory.
So, you know, listeners, if you're new to the show, Brad and I hold different occupations. Brad's I'll say a vocational pastor, full-time pastor, however Brad would want to define that. And I'm a university music professor. I perform a lot, and in my vocation, Brad, I mean, this is going to come no surprise to you. I know that you've known me, since you and Tabitha got married, but I mean, it's no surprise to anybody that knows anything about the way the music industry operates. The music industry operates, I mean, really identically to any other consumer-based industry that the Western world has to offer. And there there is always a push. There's always the push to be the best one in the room.
Mm.
Um, I like that actually, just even saying that starts to exhaust me because I remember, and I always kind of, I always lean on the idea that I can't ever perform good enough because that
Mm,
keeps me always trying to push for more and more and more. But when it comes to when it comes to the fight to try to be the best and to have kind of like if you're in a room with other musicians, an unwritten goal is to be the one that everybody wants to talk to. It's the one that everyone says, "Oh man, like there's said person." Um, and that's not ordinary. Matter of fact, it's the opposite. And in the world of in certainly in the world of music performance, and I mean, I tell my students this. I'm guilty of it, dude. I tell my students this so much that like if you just simply want to do what you're doing now, I mean, go get another major, you know? Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing
mm,
wrong with what I like to call being a hobbyist. But I mean, I'm trying to get them to start to think about what they're doing as a career, right? Like as a
mhm,
job, as a is it possible or like can you actually continually push yourself more? But I don't advocate the idea of, and I used to, but I don't advocate the idea of push yourself to where you are the best person in the room. Push yourself to where, at all costs, you are the person that that can beat anybody out for for that particular seat. And I want you to understand, like listeners, I'm not trying to convolute the conversation because Brad, I think that there's a lot of value in what I do in pushing yourself musically to get as good as you can. But I personally think that the ordinary mindset comes into play when I step back and think, okay, why am I pushing myself? Am I pushing myself to be the absolute best for everybody around me, or am I pushing myself to be the best that I can, period? And then whatever happens after that happens. And that's actually the route that I take. I want to be as good as I can.
mhm,
There are things in my life that I mean family, depending on the season of even just the semester, it could be family stuff, it could be work stuff, it could be performance stuff. Like when I have my hands on a lot of stuff, um, depending again on what season it is, time will go here, time will go over there, time will go over here, whatever. But um, I definitely take the mentality of however God wants to open doors for my musical outlet. I just want to make sure that I'm ready for those doors to be open.
mm,
Um and so again, I don't want to like I said, I don't want to convolute the conversation because I don't think there's anything
mm.
wrong at all with striving to be the best.
Right.
But relating back to, our set of Bible verses, Paul clearly writes it from the standpoint that if the foot should say, because I'm not a hand, I don't want to be part of the body, I'm not part of the body.
Mm,
Like, if what God has set me to do
mhm,
is not what I want to do, and
mm,
I try to operate outside of that, I mean, I can. It's actually possible for me to do that, but I'm becoming more dysfunctional
right. His feet
to
make crappy hands.
feet make really bad hands. Yeah. Um,
So
and
that's
the
not what
people
they're designed for.
Right. And the people like, the folks, and I've seen videos of these people. I know I'm guessing you probably have too, but like, people that don't have arms that
Mhm,
have figured out how to use their feet as hands. I mean, they can do it, but
mhm,
right, that's an adaptation. But
right.
you're right. Feet are not designed to be hands, nor the opposite.
Mm,
And so for me, when our pastor, excuse me, when our pastor said, um, let's not despise the ordinary. I really like it's a simple yet I think profound statement to really kind of unpack about again, trying to answer why doesn't our culture like the ordinary? And Brad, I completely agree with you also that if we like the ordinary, that means it's not about us. That means that I'm not sitting in the limelight, you know?
Well, I think one of the hard questions that we need to ask ourselves as believers, no matter what we do, no matter where we fit in the body of Christ, and it's certainly one that I probably need to ask myself more, is whose glory am I seeking?
Hmm.
Who am I seeking to glorify? Who am I
Yeah,
seeking to lift up and bring out? Is it Christ or is it Brad?
yeah,
And who's and like that, kind of a secondary question is whose kingdom am I building or being a part of the build? Am I trying to
yeah.
build Brad's kingdom, or am I trying to be obedient and allow God to use me in building of His kingdom, which we've already said I'm a joint heir in. So
Hmm.
the am I trying to build the kingdom that's going to pass away, the Brad kingdom that will
Right,
is going to be gone, or am I trying to be used by God in building the kingdom that will never pass away,
right.
which is a lot more grandiose if you think about it. And I think there is the irony,
Yeah,
right? C.S. Lewis, said something along the lines of, "It's not that we ask God too much, but too little." You
mm,
know, he said it's like a kid making a mud pie in a slum who cannot even envision a holiday at sea or a holiday at the beach. At this.
yeah, yeah.
Bec-
That's right.
So we're sitting here as if we're asking God too much, when the reality is we're just skewed in our thinking, and we're asking Him for too little. God loves the grandiose. He is grandiose. I think it's just, again, where is where's the glory in those things? So there's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with big things,
that's right.
um, but I think the reality is the big things have to, like, they need the little things. Not that God needs us. So don't misunderstand me out there,
Right.
people.
Yeah.
But like, if there's going to be, like Billy Graham, right? Billy Graham was a grandiose preacher. He did these grandiose events where
Yeah.
he preached the gospel. And I think for the most part that was great.
Yeah.
Right. And from what I've read of Billy Graham, God helped him to, most of the time, because I'm sure he struggled with pride, those things. But most of the time, it seemingly to me, anyway, Billy Graham focused on Christ
Yeah.
and stayed humble. Um, but those big events that he had, there were a lot of things that had to go on for that to happen.
Hmm.
He didn't just show up at a venue and start speaking, and then all kinds of people showed up.
Right. Yeah.
Right? There were people that were advertising that. There were people that were making sure that the place was
Yeah. I mean,
ready.
you're
There were
exactly right.
there there
Yeah.
there were there were people that had to make sure the place was clean, safe. All of this, make sure his speakers works. I
Yeah.
mean, on the
Uh-huh.
musical or the audio side of things, make sure his mic, the people were going to be able to hear him. Okay, we've
Yep.
got we got 10,000 people that are going to come. We need to make sure in the back
Yep.
they can hear the message clear. But we look at Billy Graham and we go, "Oh, look at how God used Billy Graham." And we forget about the importance of, well, nobody would have heard Billy Graham if somebody who didn't know something about audio hadn't
Had
have
yeah.
made
Right.
sure that that was right.
Yeah.
So who's, and I think that's part of what God is trying to share with us in Corinthians is, well, who's the most important? Is
Yeah.
it the mouthpiece like Billy Graham, or is it the ear guy who makes sure everybody can hear? Neither.
That's
Uh,
exactly
You
right.
know,
That's exactly right. Yes.
neither's more important. I'm not more important to the church at Murphy because I'm the pastor. That's the role that I have.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
is it an important role? Yes. But so is, like, making sure that people are greeted and feel loved. So is the people, that the prayer warriors. Oh my gosh. I mean, if I was going to put some emphasis on some people,
Mm.
like, if I myself was going to be like, these people are more important, that's the prayer warriors.
Yeah.
Those people that are, man, they're just praying, and a lot of times they're praying behind the scenes. They don't even know they're praying.
Mhm. Yeah.
You're having a conversation with God.
Yeah.
Man, things are moving. Things are changing for the better. It's great. Yeah, because you got some prayer warriors over here in the background, man. Some little old ladies or young kids sometimes. Man, it doesn't have the faith of a child.
Yeah.
Um, I think, but but we want and so we have to level that because like I said, DJ, there's also nothing wrong with if God has called us to if like Billy Graham, we'll keep coming back to Billy Graham, right? I think in a lot of ways that God did call him to that, right? Called him
Mhm.
to be this public speaker, called him to be this guy who's going to write these books, who has this voice, you know, that just makes you go, okay, I could listen to this guy for a long time. There's this way of speaking how many people come to faith through the message of Billy Graham.
Mhm.
But how many people got saved by Billy Graham? Zero.
Right. Yeah.
Jesus,
That's
Jesus,
exactly right.
and Jesus and
Yeah.
his grace is what's that. So Billy Graham's the mouthpiece. He's
Yeah.
getting the word out, and that's what God called him to do.
Right.
But so there's nothing wrong with being obedient. And hey, let's do I mean, I don't know. I never got to sit down with Billy Graham and ask technical questions of like, how'd you decide where to go,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and what to do?
I'd almost be willing to bet you, Brad, that a portion of the time, the answer to that question, how did you decide where to go? One of the things that you were mentioning earlier about the venues, like there are people set in place that had to make sure it was clean, set up, all that kind of stuff, the audio tech. Well, I mean, like for the Billy Graham Crusades to even occur, that there was a complete infrastructure set up independent of
Mhm.
him to make sure that events were even planned. So how did you,
Yeah,
like how did you know where to go? I mean,
yeah,
the prayer warriors that were in the background for sure were along with his own prayer life was certainly helping. I would be willing to bet to influence that, but at the same time, I mean, Billy Graham, we've got crusades to make. So let's just go ahead and let's look on, on the map and start to map out just kind of like a literal roadmap, right? Of what cities are we going to hit. And so I mean, like that whole infrastructure, as you were just saying, that whole infrastructure, I mean, I don't know who those people were. I have no earthly idea how many people were involved to make one Billy
right.
Graham one Billy Graham crusade successful from beginning to end. I have no idea,
Mhm.
but I know that it's more than 10. I know it's
What about the
more than
and
20,
sticking on that? What about the lay volunteers and the people who when people come forward
Oh, dude,
are
yeah.
gonna either lead them to Christ or at least lead them to the gospel
Yeah.
and share with them because when 500 people come forward, Billy Graham can't sit there and talk to all of them.
No, he cannot. That's exactly right.
So it's
And
just
yeah,
when we
so
own that, again, but go ahead.
well, I was just gonna I was gonna kind of wrap back around and say that the world, our culture, the secular communities, and not secular, excuse me, the sacred. No, I was right. Sorry, the secular communities. But at the same time, I mean, any one of us can be guilty on any given day of wanting what I want way more than what God wants. Like this is certainly
Mhm.
not a once Jesus saves your life, once He saved my life, like it all like I finally understood everything. I mean, that's not the way that works. But there's something about like the grass is greener on the other side is
Mhm.
I think is a really poignant adage to kind of explain, how Paul is saying here, look, every single person in the church, and when I say the church, not just like the organization that you attend on, 2 or 3 times a week or once a week, whatever, but also the body of Christ, all of us have roles to play. Sometimes, sometimes the feet actually are in the limelight, right? I mean,
Mhm. Mhm.
for sprinters, for a punter, I mean, shoot, man, for me, like Actually, you know what? Let me take myself out of the conversation and replace it with a guy by the name of Jonathan Moffett, although otherwise known as Sugarfoot. He was Michael Jackson's drummer. And
Yeah.
the reason he got the name Sugarfoot is because when he was younger, he had naturally fast feet on the drums. So like sometimes the foot actually does take front stage. But you know, Brad, one of the things that you were talking about, you know, like the prayer warriors, the people that you don't even know are in the background praying. Um, and I'm going to be very transparent here. I'm going to put myself at the mercy of our listeners. I'm not good at that. I'm going to be flat out blunt. I am not good because first of all, I've never really given a concerted effort towards it, but I'm not good at the prayer warrior thing. Um, and like there's like some guilt that comes along with that. Like I should start to qualify it to kind of get myself out of it. I'm just not good at it. It's not one of the things that I it's not that I do often. It's really I'm not a prayer warrior for anyone. Um and that said, the prayer warriors that you're talking about, like the people that is how they love to serve.
Mhm.
When you said that, the first thing that popped in my mind, and I don't remember their names, but there are you already know this, and listeners probably know this, but I'm going to say it anyways. There's three like extremely small bones in our inner ear that you don't even know are there unless someone says you have three bones that are there.
Or
Without
unless you don't have them.
Unless you don't have them, and then you're laying on the floor for the rest of your life. Like
Mhm.
the fact that an entire body can balance because those three bones are in place. And like, how often do I think about those bones? I don't ever. And so, yeah, that's that again, that, you know, why coming back to why doesn't our world praise the ordinary? Um, I think that like if we boil it down all the way into its guts, it's just that ordinary doesn't gain attention.
Mhm.
Ordinary doesn't do anything that makes other people want to be ordinary. And our culture is very against not being important, not being
Mhm.
you know, as you were saying earlier, not being the the main attraction.
Mhm.
What were you gonna say, Brad?
About 45 things.
Okay.
Quarterback syndrome,
Mhm. You
which
say
I just made up.
quarterback syndrome?
Yeah, which I just made up. I don't know if it's actually some kind of syndrome because I'm talking off my
I get
head.
it. I totally get it. Yeah.
You know, usually help with the lineman when coaching football. You know, was a lineman on
Hmm.
offense back in my day. You know, one of the things that I was taught by our coaches is, look, you're very important. He cannot do his job without you,
Yeah.
but you need to understand he's always going to get the glory, not you.
Dude. Dude, that's
You're
so deep, man.
you're going to stop the guy from sacking him
Yeah.
so that he can make the play,
Yeah.
so that everybody can go rah rah rah. Look at that quarterback.
That's right.
So you've got to
Gosh.
accept that,
That's so profound, man. I'm
and
serious.
you know that if you didn't stop that linebacker,
Right.
he wouldn't have been able to do what he was going to do.
Yeah.
So you're very important. Matter of fact, one of the like I think they found like it's the blind side,
Mm,
the movie and all that because they acknowledged years ago that the blind side tackle is one of the most important linemen
mm.
because that's where the quarterback can't adjust as
Right.
well because he
Right.
can't see.
Yeah.
Right. So if he's facing this way, he's getting ready, the right-handed quarterback, he's getting ready to try to throw. People who are in his vision, he can kind of move and adjust from. But if a linebacker or a lineman comes from the back,
Yeah.
and so who's the one he can't see? Well, the closest guy and one is that tackle,
Yeah.
that left tackle. If that guy gets by him, so but again, does that mean that, oh well, he is, you know? he might be the glorified lineman, but hey, if the center lets the guy by,
Center. You say
yeah,
center?
yeah, like he's still gonna get sacked. Everybody's got to do their job, and I think that's
Everybody,
part of
yeah,
the body. And
that's right.
and at the end of the day, if everybody does their job, we do well. But everybody's not going to get the glory.
Right.
But I think we see that. Um, so do you know who Edward Kimball is?
Mm-mm.
No, not a familiar name for you. Not a familiar name for most people. Um, do you know who D.L. Moody is?
Yeah. Oh, dude, are you talk like are you gonna go to the Salvation Army?
No,
No, okay.
D.L.
I
Moody.
I know the name D.L. Moody, yeah.
Yeah, so D.L. Moody was is again he was he was a Billy Graham of his day in a sense. He
Yeah.
was a Spurgeon of his day. He was a guy that was well known as a man of faith, as a preacher,
Mm,
and things were, put into place by or because of him and because of that some of that fame. Right? So most people within Christendom, or at least in Protestant Christendom, know who D.L. Moody is, or at least it's familiar.
right.
Like you may not know who he is, but you've heard the name.
Yeah.
There's the Moody Bible Institute.
Yeah, in Chicago, sure.
Yeah. So the Moody, that's D.L. Moody, right? So that wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for D.L. Moody.
Hmm.
Right? That came out of that. Edward Kimball was a Sunday school teacher who led D.L. Moody to Christ.
Oh man. Yeah,
But we don't know who, most of us aren't familiar with Edward Kimball.
right.
But the reality is, if Edward Kimball, and the story is, as I understand, Kimball visited a shoe store where Moody was working and spoke to him about Christ, shared Jesus with him,
Hmm.
and he got saved. And God called him into ministry. And God did these awesome things to Dale Moody. But God did these awesome things through Edward Kimball
Hmm.
because without Edward Kimball, all of these awesome things with again,
Yeah,
that's that God because of so so who's more important?
right.
Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus is. It's exactly right. Yeah.
Because it's God's work. I think within the church too, DJ, one of the things that we get backwards, and I do so often, and I know it, and I've preached it, and God has preached it to me, and preached it to me, and preached it to me. So often, we are so concerned about what we are doing for God.
Mm. Hmm.
Where does God call us to do a lot of stuff for Him? Now, yes, He's called us to good works and those things, but I mean, He tells us to abide in Him with His strength, to walk in step with His Spirit,
Yeah,
right? To seek His wisdom,
right.
His will, His way. And that, as Paul says, I am convinced that He who started the work in you will bring it about to completion. So
Yep.
whose work is it? God's.
It's always
So,
God's work. Yeah.
so instead of us working for God, well, I, if I can put it this way, we're supposed to kind of, in a sense, get in alignment with God's work in us.
Hmm.
And so, and getting the stuff out of the way that is not allowing Him
Yeah.
to work in us the way He wants to. And sometimes that means that we gotta humble ourselves
Yep. Yeah.
and and realize that it's not about us. It's not about the glory. You know,
There
and,
is there is Brad in my life, there is always a part of me, and I'm convinced that it will never go away, but there is always a part of me that still wants the big stage.
Mhm.
I I can't tell you how much I know I would love to be part of like a Dave Matthews Band size
Mhm.
group. But here's the thing, that's not what God called me to do. And I had to come to terms with that. Um, not only is that not what God called me to do, but like when I look at the grand scheme of things, the way that God built me, the woman that he had me marry, set apart for me to marry, the kids that he knew we were going to have, that kind of lifestyle is not, or at least to this point in time, anyways,
Mhm.
is not conducive. It doesn't match the other. And what, like, again, what you mentioned earlier, whose glory am I working for?
Mhm.
I mean, do I always have the option to say, you know what? It's my turn. Yes, I always have that option. Yes, I do. But I know I can't take it. And why not? Because that's not what God, that's not
Mhm.
to this point in time, that is not what God has set me apart to do. And I know, I've even had this conversation with a fellow faculty member of mine, who is in fact one of the top 20 bass guitarists in the world. Period. I mean, like hands down. He's that good. He knows that many people. He's been on that many records. Wonderful guy. And we were talking about it one day, and I kind of told him that. And he's like, Tim said, DJ, what you have to understand is that the choices that you made are the ones that I didn't, because he felt like God had set him apart to do the
Mhm.
other. And again, this comes right back to First Corinthians 12. The foot, the eye, the ear, they cannot complete the tasks that each other can.
Mhm.
And why should we not despise the ordinary? I'm not saying that the church does despise the ordinary, but I think it's really, really easy in my lifetime, in my life experience, it's really easy for church people to wish that they were doing bigger and better things.
One of the things that I've said to our church, and we're a small church, um, you know, right now we're probably running 60, 70 on a Sunday morning. So we're even a smaller church um, than we used to be.
Mm,
But I've told them if we have 400 people here and we had our bank accounts are full and we're doing all kinds of events, but those 400 people were people that were already saved that come from other churches um, that just came over because it was, you know, it was cool over here. And like,
yeah.
and we've got all this money, we're doing all these things, but people aren't hearing the gospel, people aren't getting saved, then we failed as a church, but
Hmm.
we'll think we're successful.
That's exactly right. You do, nail on the head right there. It's exactly right.
And so, it's the obedience. So let me be honest.
Yeah.
Let me be honest. Years ago, when God called me to be a pastor, we're going to this little church um, with my mom and dad for a while, and wonderful little pastor there. It was an amazing little man named Philip Ronk, and I have the utmost respect for him. Um, but he was pastoring a church of like 12 people,
Mm,
and it was this, but he was sharing God's word. He was being obedient. And I remember at one point in my mind, in my own mind, just going, you know, tell me this is not my future as a pastor,
mm, mm,
to just do that. And it's one of those times in my life where I felt God's spirit be like, how dare you?
mhm.
How dare you? Who do you think you are?
Yeah.
You will not downsize my son and my servant like that.
Yeah.
as if his ministry is less because there's not 10,000 people or 1,000 people or 100 people.
Yeah.
He is being obedient. He is preaching the word, and he is doing what I've called him to do.
Hmm.
So don't you ever say things like that again.
Yeah.
And I
And
said that in my head.
yeah.
I said, but I needed it.
Mm.
I needed that. I needed that reminder because I was getting, as my dad would say, a little too big for my britches in my own mind.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was, and I was looking at things the wrong way. And God changed that. And so, uh, Brother Philip, if you ever happen to listen to this podcast, one, I'm sorry that I even
Sorry.
thought
Yeah.
that. God did correct me, and two, know that I love you and have the utmost respect for you as a pastor, and what you have done and what you are doing and what God's doing through you matters, and it's important, and it doesn't have to be grandiose in the sense that the world looks at it, because if we're doing God's will and He's working through us, it is automatically grandiose. Um, and having said that, and I know we're probably running short on time,
We are. Yeah. It's
I
okay.
I I love the song, and I don't remember who it's by. It's called Dream Small.
Hmm.
Uh,
Dream small.
yeah, Josh Wilson. It's a Christian song called Dream Small.
Okay.
Um, and here's just a little bit of lyrics. It's a mama singing songs about the Lord. It's a daddy spending family time the world says he cannot afford.
Hmm.
These simple moments change the world. It's a pastor at a tiny little church, 40 years 11 on the broken and the hurt. Those simple moments change the world. Dream small, don't buy the lie, you got to do it all. Just let Jesus use you where you are, one day at a time. And I think this is the thing, like heaven is going to be filled with people because of Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
right? Boom, that's it. But heaven is going to be filled with some people because Jesus Christ used pastors and lay leaders and moms and dads and people that the world would have said, this person isn't important. Because
Hmm.
it's going to use the Edward Kimball's that is never going to get, you know, I mean the notoriety
Yeah.
that D.L. Moody got.
Yeah. He doesn't have
No,
a
his his
he
name
does
his
not have
name's never right.
he does not have a university named after him.
Right. It's not
That's right.
there's Edward Kimball Bible, Institute. Probably never going to happen. Um, but that's okay
Yeah.
because when we realize, one, it wasn't about Edward Kimball or D.L. Moody, it's about Jesus, and God used them both in His way. Um, and if they're obedient to Him, then what they well, when they met Jesus, because both of them have gone on,
Yeah. Right.
um, they're well done, well done.
Yeah.
Come on in, boy.
Right. Um, Listeners, enjoy, embrace the ordinary. Like you want to talk about, and I'm gonna say countercultural, but I certainly don't want to unpack it. I mean, this is the outro for the show, but be countercultural in that way. Embrace, enjoy, be thankful, be grateful, not just for the ordinary, but like that all of us at some point in time in our lives are ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing about anybody that is extraordinary without Christ. Just, I mean, just point blank. We can define that as we will, but man, Jesus is the one that makes it or breaks it. So on that note, listeners, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for being part of the show. We love that you guys tune in. Share the show with people that you know. Let folks know that you listen to the show. If you're in the Jackson area, we can't stop encouraging. Head over to Green Frog Coffee on the north side of Jackson. Today's show, it's code word ordinary, that will give you $2 off. But we have a coupon code every Monday. You can follow us on all the socials. Find us on our Facebook group page, where we're actually probably the most, not probably, we're certainly the most active there. But rate and review our show on whatever podcast streaming platform that you use. Yeah, contact us. Let us know what you think. Talk to us, interact with us. We want to hear from you guys. So, Brad, I certainly know that the Christmas season has already started to ramp up big time. So everyone, be like in the Christmas season. It's almost weird that this is one of the only seasons where the ordinary kind of is encouraged a little bit more, but continue to be that ordinary, that constant, consistent force of service and love in the name of Christ. And on that note, Brad, I love you, buddy.
Love you too.
Listeners, we love you, and we will catch you next time.